Welcome to a new test and teardown video. Look at this big thing. Yeah, it is almost as big as a refrigerator. It is a Bruker Microflex LT. It is a time of flight mass spectrometer for microbiology and science like that. It is of course completely defective, and they already started to take out some parts. I see some loose brackets and a few loose wires, but I think we got everything in here, so I already do not plan to get anything up and running. But what I do plan is to take it completely apart and show all the cool stuff that is in here, because we will find vacuum pumps, turbo pumps, we will find laser and high voltage detectors and all sorts of fancy smancy things. How to get this unit into my lab? Yeah, I had to make a little ramp. Because it's very big and very heavy. Let's try and look a little bit at the connectivity here at the back. And the little label, it says exactly what it is. Microflex and type and part numbers and all that. Yeah, Laser 1 product. There's a 10 watt 900 nanometer laser in there. Power 10 amp. How about that? And we got some funky connectors. I don't have the computers or the software or anything like that, of course, so there's no way we can proceed in any way. Electrical shock, yeah. There's definitely some high voltage things. Even the door lock mechanism is just the most fascinating. Look at that. And then it goes, and then it closes like this. And there's of course an EMC shield all the way around. Yeah, I will try and take away some more brackets, and then we can enjoy the beautiful insides. So, I think this is definitely made for easy service, because look at all that. Finger screws all the way around to get the front bracket off in one go. And we also got finger screws around here, so well, this is a good way to get in.
You wanted to say what, honey?
Look at the size for this thing. What the heck have I gotten myself into?
It's almost as tall as me.
So I figured out there's a reason why I can't pull away the front cover, and that was, of course, this is the sample. Here you put in the sample, you can open this, and it seems like there's a little magnet thingy here, and then, yeah, I think the magnet is up there that holds it, and then this thick steel lid, it closes to this O-ring, and then of course vacuum sucks everything, so it's nice and tight. So let's take a little bit of a deeper look inside. I took away the front cover and all that. We can go a little bit up and down here and have a few looks. It is of course beautiful the way that it's made. And the first thing I, of course, look for, that is all those fancy smancy laser products. And look at that, 10 watts laser, but it is a 900 nanometer, so this is not a visible laser source. But there's another one, and it's even bigger. I don't know exactly the output power for this one here. So let's try and see if we can look what that is doing. We've got 24 volts input. We got RS232 optical, some external trigger and some other trigger stuff, probably also optical cables. And what is this thing doing? It's called Lasertechnik Berlin. And so far I don't know exactly what kind of power we can expect from this one, but it looks like it's a fiber output. Here's the blue one, and it goes into the test chamber right here. And it also says here is laser output, so this is interesting. And then the laser output goes down here. And here we have, of course, the little reflectors and activators. There's also, I believe, this powerful laser here, the 10 watts here, somehow goes and hit the samples. And then the samples emit particles, and those particles are the one that goes flying up and down this tube. And then we'll have a way to get these particles up and down here, and that is done by accurate high voltage. And of course we got quite a lot of high voltage supplies, and this one in here is also a pulsed high voltage system. See, another high voltage supply, and I believe this is the pulsing unit. It says 200 hertz. So this has something to do with the high voltage. We also got some other high voltage components going on right here. And I will, of course, take apart everything so we can figure out what is going on. Another high voltage supply and another high voltage supply. This is a low voltage. I think this is 24 volts for everything. Can't really see anything because it chooses to focus the wrong place. A big Lambda 650 watts, and that will be, of course, a control board with some big hefty ICs on it. And there was a coiled up cable that ends with a BNC connector. So where exactly is this going? Is this for some external debugging or whatever? It was just hidden in here, or is it going to something that was removed? Because I found 2 of these loose brackets. So this tells me something was removed somewhere. Or is it? No, see, it does not fit here. I don't know exactly what was removed, because these are also mounted. Yeah, maybe they, I don't know what they did, to be honest. This one is good. You can take out each of the different things. Here, I guess we need to take away this little stopping bracket here. We need to take apart this. Yeah, we got some more control boards. And here we got all the fancy smancy vacuum parts. We got some different pumps. And we can see some more about all this on the other side. Here is another little vacuum part. Look at that. This is a deep vacuum sensor, and it even says, look at that, there's a warning sign here. It says this needs to be more than 10 centimeters away from humans. What the heck is this? High magnetic in this one. Interesting. So let's continue a little bit here from the right side of the unit. We can see a little bit more what is going on here. Got some control signals for the pulsing high voltages, and that's of course low voltage entry to all the high voltage stuff. This is probably calibration measurements for the high voltage, and yeah, that will be all the low voltage DC outputs. Not a lot of interesting things going on down here. We got some more fancy smancy pumps, and this is the turbo pump. And down here is the normal vacuum pump, the big red one. We also got quite a lot of vacuum gauges, and that is because there is a lot of automatic involved in all this, because you cannot turn on the turbo pump unless you have a certain vacuum. And this is done down here with another vacuum gauge and some valves to open and close for vacuum in and out and all that. And this is of course the vacuum, so you can empty everything. Or actually you fill it up again with air, and then it is non-pressurized, and then you can open the lid and continue. And there's of course some sensors here for the lid that will tell you if you can open or close it, or if it is closed and all that kind of stuff. Oh, look at that. We got some hinges, so that means we can open and close here and inspect all the really, really cool things that's going on in here. But what I really wanted to look at is, of course, all the laser sources. And this one is, well, quite interesting. You look at all the warning labels. Look at that. The output power is 100 kilowatts, but only, oh, I need to hold this camera like that, sorry about that. 2.5 nanoseconds. So it's an insanely small pulse, but it is also insanely powerful. So there'll be some capacitors and a big hefty charge and then blast off this laser. And this is, of course, to start this time of flight and then the measurement system. And there's a detector in either end. I don't know exactly where the detector is for the exposure of the emitted signal from the test sample. But there will be either in this end or in the other end some detector for that. And up here at the top we got two BNC connectors. One is for high voltage. Look at that. It is a special high voltage BNC connector. And the other one is a standard BNC, and that is of course for detection of something, right? So with the high voltage here you can obviously suck or steer, control the reflected signals, and then you have probably the sensor up here. I definitely want to go and have a look at all this. Oh yeah, I found the serial interface, and it goes to this. Pretty cool. So I'm still poking around inside this fantastic unit here, and this is the laser input, and look at that. This is probably not supposed to look like this, so something here is completely loose. And now all sorts of dust and nasty stuff can go in here. And this is of course not good. So I bet somebody's been doing some service to this unit. So I should of course attack this one as well. So I bet we can unscrew here and move this to handle some focus. And that will also be some high voltage entry points. It goes to the high voltage switcher. So I'll go into that as well. What else have I figured out so far? I think we should open this the vacuum chamber here. I will see if I can get this open. I removed the mounting bracket here at the top, so I will be able to flip down this big fantastic thing here. All the sub-assemblies, they got numbers. Look, it's actually easy to figure out what's going on here. So this is a high voltage plus 20 kilovolts. And the next one is a Pi 2 complete. And here is a high voltage switch system. And it goes to those two cables right there. And it looks like in connectors, but look at that. Super high voltage connector. That is a very, very useful part for all my high voltage things. I really love this. Got quite a lot of these. Haven't yet figured out what this is doing. So high voltage goes into this one and then it can split the high voltage somehow. And then we got a positive 5 kilovolt plus minus 10 kilovolt and a negative 5 kilovolt. So quite a lot of really, really cool high voltage stuff as well. The different high voltage supplies They're a little bit different in size, so this is the biggest. And then we'll look at the other three. They look a lot like the same physical size and the same kind of connections. Of course, it's the same brand and all that. And all these connections here, there's probably some, of course, DC, low voltage DC input and some remote on off and maybe even voltage regulation inputs. See, like here we can see 4 thick wires and 2 thin wires like that. Is probably some remote monitoring or controlling, and they all got these, and they're going to some of the little control boards like this, and they're using all sorts of different connectors. See, those two are almost identical, and here's one that is different, and another one here that is very different as well. This is quite interesting. So I want to try and take out one of the power supplies and see about the connections, and is everything explained up here and so on, because this is definitely something I want to reuse and play with for all my high voltage experiments. The entry here is also quite interesting. Everything is made at this quality level, super maximum, even around the entry filter, and the on-off switch is also an auto fuse. And see, there's a nice shield here around it, and then there is of course a shielded cable all the way to the main power supply right here, with all the different output modules mounted like that. I actually think that I made, this is the 650, yeah, the Vega. So you can find a video on my YouTube channel explaining about the Vega power supplies. Isn't that amazing? So I'm taking out more and more units. See, it looks very, very empty now. And now I get down to the vacuum pumps. And I see something that is a little bit frustrating. Look at that paper. It has to be something with, see, vibrations, and also this soft foam right here, definitely vibration dampening. Bonk, 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 bonk. Quite funny, isn't it? But look at those screws here. All 4 of them, I would expect them to be, flat with the unit. But look at that screw right there. This can't be good. It's not supposed to look like this, is it? Well. So now I got this vacuum pump out, and I can't forget about this screw that is looking really, really bad. This can't be right. And those mounting rubber thingies, they're really, really soft. And it was difficult to reach this one, as you can imagine. This one is in the way with this one. But I was able to do it. Difficult, but I made it. And here's the label for this red vacuum pump. It's annoying with the light. It's just, this sticker is just really want to be flexible. Okay, so 24 volts and 64 watts. 3.5 amps. Okay. So I hope I can, let's see if I can look this up to find the pin out of this connector. And I bet this one is of course the, okay, we only got 2 pins, so it's quite easy. And the other one's most likely a sensor over temperature or something like that. I don't know yet. So I'm actually trying to take out all the wires as little as possible so I can easier figure out how to connect stuff. Because I want to reuse different sensors and different high power supplies and all those kinds of things. So that is why I just leave as much in here as possible, because it's written at the ends where is this and that going and how much voltage and stuff. So that is going to be a big help for me in a little bit of a later moment. And yeah, here's the red sensor. It got the same kind of connector as the other one, and this one is really, really special. I look forward to talk a little bit about that one. They're also quite expensive. So this is the high vacuum sensor, and this is just the low vacuum sensor. And this one is the one that handles all the takeovers from the first pump to the turbo pump. And there's a funny little extra vacuum sensor right here that will just double check that you're not doing anything silly. And then this valve turns off. See, this cable here, that end here goes to the red pump that starts making vacuum into the chamber via this way. And then this valve here turns off everything, and now the turbo pump will continue. So I took away the turbo pump, and now we can see inside this hole we got some more funky stuff going on in the chamber. So that was mounted right there, and also we got some two multi-connectors. That's probably for all the motors and funky stuff that is going on in there. So let's talk a little bit about the absolutely cool pump here. And if you look real careful, it is actually spinning really, really nice and fine. You're not supposed to touch the blades or actually touch anything here. So please don't do this. I just wanted to see that it's working really nice and fine. It's a really, really sexy size. And here we got the part number for the motor, I guess. And then there is another model number here for, I bet this is the motor controller. Input and output and whatnot. So that is what's driving the motor in here, using this 15-pin connector. We got some LEDs. This is a vacuum release valve, and this is the output, of course, that goes to the valve and the pump and all those things that we all have already looked at a little bit at. So here is the super vacuum sensor, and it is of course crazy magnetic. Down here it is a compact cold cathode gauge full of all the fancy smancy things and a very powerful magnet. So I'm not going to put it near any of my tools. It was definitely a little bit of a challenge to get this out due to the magnetic field. And then there is this little gasket thing, and it is made using these two half circles, and then the vacuum can go around this. That's also a little bit funny.